Inspirational Creatives, episode 190. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here, and welcome to another short action episode of Inspirational Creatives. If you're new to Inspirational Creatives, these short action episodes, which appear every Wednesday, are designed to help you take some life-changing action towards living the life that you want. In the last episode, episode 189, I spoke with 15-second pitch expert Laura Allen. Laura opened my mind up to all sorts of ideas and possibilities when it comes to creatively marketing our work and ourselves. In this short action episode, I want to share with you what Laura had to say about how to create a clear and compelling pitch so that you can start getting the results that you're looking for when you're attracting people towards your creative work. So in episode 189, I asked Laura this question. What's at the essence of being able to create a great pitch?
The essence is having absolute clarity about what you're offering.
According to Laura, at the essence of a great pitch is being absolutely clear about what it is that you're offering.
It sounds simple, but I think that people complicate things a lot of the time. They don't have confidence in what they're offering and that people would actually spend money on it. So they make things more complicated than they need to be.
Although having a clear pitch sounds simple, it's not uncommon for people to overcomplicate their pitches because they're not always confident about what it is that they're pitching. Confidence can come from having clarity and focus. So in episode 189, I asked Laura this question. What are the common kind of traits that you see with clients that start to cloud our focus?
I think it's when they start having too much jargon in their pitch. They're in a very specific industry, maybe they're in technology and they have a lot of phrases that would only be meaningful to somebody else who is also in that line of work. So I think you have to make it clear for anyone, make it so easy that a sixth grader can understand what you're talking about, which is hard.
Too much jargon or too many phrases that are only relevant to those in a specific industry or field are some of the signs that a pitch is a poor one. In episode 189, I dug a little deeper and asked Laura if she could explain why it is that people tend to overcomplicate their pitches with jargon. It's one of these things, isn't it? When you do something so well, it looks easy, but actually to get there, it's usually quite difficult. Do you think it's a case of sometimes we get a bit caught up with looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to emulate that rather than just focusing in on what we're about?
Yes. Absolutely. I'll give you a quick example of the idea of simplicity can be a great thing. I once met a woman at a networking event and I was presenting on how to give your 15-second pitch, and she stood up and her pitch, the crux of her pitch was she's a freelance writer and she's never missed a deadline. And when you hear that, you're like, some people would say, well, obviously you'd be out of business in 3 minutes if you missed a lot of deadlines. But when you start working with freelancers, sometimes they take on too much work and they do overpromise and underdeliver. So just this simple pitch, I think she mentioned she had been writing for 15 years and she'd never missed a deadline, and people lined up to get her card.
Wow.
So it's that very simple pitch, but it was very compelling. I have another client and his pitch is, I'm a web designer that won't disappear on you. I've had the same email address for 15 years. I've had the same phone number for 15 years. Because if you've worked with web designers like I have, sometimes they wander off and you can never find them again. So that's part of Kevin's pitch. And it's been very effective because a lot of people have experienced that.
Simplicity can be a great thing. Laura offers 2 examples that demonstrate at least 3 things about these pitches. First, they are simple. Second, they clearly state what it is that people do. Third, they clearly state a specific problem that they solve. This specific problem might relate to a challenge that many folks would have experienced when buying that product or hiring those kinds of services. It's not necessarily the challenge that they're solving with the product or service. It's more to do with the challenge of hiring those services or buying those products. Laura gives the example of the web designer that doesn't disappear and the freelancer that meets deadlines. This prompted me to ask Laura this question. So is it sometimes a case of like finding out what the common problems or pain points are for a market or for a bunch of clients and then kind of working back from there in terms of saying, look, this is what I do, but I also overcome this common challenge that you have if you try and hire people like me?
Yes, you can talk about the pain or you can talk about what you really want to do for people. So I have another friend, his name is Ori, and he does dog portraits. So you might say to yourself, that's not a pain point that I feel that I need to have a painting of my dog, but he does it in a very specific way. So, people are very close to their pets. And if a pet passes away, what people will do sometimes is hire Ori to do a painting of someone's beloved dog. And it's a really meaningful gift to that person. It's like, oh, wow, I have this portrait of my best friend who passed away. So from the outside, you look at it and you're like, oh, dog portraits, it's kind of easy to judge. But if you have this really close relationship and you work with him, he adds something to that portrait. There's going to be something about your relationship with your dog that is different, and it's very meaningful to the person that gets this gift. So he has these testimonials on his website where people talk about crying when they receive this gift. It's very meaningful because he takes the time to figure out, okay, what does this person want? What is going to be useful to them? I kind of love that.
Laura suggests that in your pitch, you can talk about solving a specific pain point for people or emphasizing exactly what it is that you intend to do. This reminded me of a lesson I learned some time ago from marketing guru Eben Pagan. Eben suggests that people usually buy something for one of two reasons. One is that they have an urgent need, or two, that they have an irrational passion. So if, for example, someone has an irrational passion for their dogs or dog, they may be interested in hiring an artist to paint a portrait of their four-legged friend. More so if, for example, their pet has passed away as a way to remember them. You could probably argue that this is also an urgent need. Either way, this is an example of pitching towards something that is meaningful to them. Another example of an urgent need would be a magazine or website that needs to run a story and has an urgent deadline. Using Laura's earlier example, being able to rely upon a freelancer that consistently meets deadlines could be classed as an urgent need, one people are willing to pay for. What I also thought was interesting about what Laura suggests is that creating a clear and compelling pitch is very much about speaking to a specific person, in clear, simple terms that anyone can understand. This isn't a method that's filled with jargon or buzzwords. Laura's insights prompted me to ask her this question, where I asked her exactly where do we begin to start creating a clear and compelling pitch. So with that all in mind then, how do we achieve a greater level of clarity and focus? How do we start to clear some of the clutter that's going on in our mind when it comes to developing a more succinct pitch?
I think the most valuable concept that I've come up with, at least this is what my clients tell me, is the idea of having a pitch for every niche. Pitch for every niche. And what that means is you can create several different pitches. Because most of the people I work with, they might have a side hustle, they might have a day job. They're doing a couple different things to pay the rent. And ultimately, a lot of them would like to be doing one main thing to pay the rent and maybe have one or two side hustles. So the no risk way to test this out is to create a pitch and to see what people are willing to pay for. That's the hard part. You can do what you love, that old phrase, do what you love and the money will follow. And I always say, do what you love and the money will follow, but it might be 100 years from now. You have to have the courage of your convictions to ask for the sale. Otherwise, you're just giving things away. Ori could give away his pet paintings. He could just give them away and not have to worry about the sale. But he wants to make a living painting. So he has to ask for the sale.
I love this idea that your pitch could almost be, in sort of entrepreneurial terms, a minimum viable product in that sense.
Yes.
And you can throw it out there to see what resonates and see what people buy into. And you could almost A/B test your own pitches against different crowds and audiences and see what works and what doesn't. Laura suggests picking a pitch for each individual niche or niche to test out your pitch. Naturally, the stronger your pitch, the more likely it will lead others to show more interest in what you do. If it's really strong and it serves an irrational passion or an urgent need that they're looking to get met, your pitch may be powerful enough for them to inquire how they can work with you. I really like this approach for its creativity, efficiency, and simplicity. As Laura suggests, it's a quick and easy way to not only test a pitch, but to test out ideas too. In episode 189, Laura shared with me the time when she first hit upon a successful pitch with a potential client of hers.
She met with me a couple of times. She said, I have to pay you for your time. This isn't right. And she took out $30 in crumpled bills and she made me take her money. I said, you don't have money. It's okay. It's really okay. She's like, no, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't give this to you. She really gave me a gift, way beyond $30 because I said, okay, what I'm doing is valuable. This is somebody that this is a lot of money for them right now, and they feel like they want to give this to me. So I'm going to start really thinking about doing this.
When Laura landed upon a successful pitch for the right person, she realised she had a viable proposition. Yet for Laura, having a great pitch was only the first step in the right direction.
That was the beginning of me charging, but I still wasn't consistent. I was still giving things away. I was being inconsistent. And so I struggled for a long time. The minute I stopped giving it away, the minute I stopped doing any kind of barter deals, my business took off.
The moment Laura pitched with conviction, her business took off. To hear more about that story, check out episode 189, where you can hear more of Laura's strategies and her story. To wrap up this short action episode then, what I learned from chatting with Laura was that simplicity is the key to having a great pitch. You want to avoid overcomplicating your pitches with jargon or phrases that speak to only a specific niche or audience, even though you are attempting to solve a specific need. This will require you to engage your creativity by creating specific pitches for certain people or niches that offer a variety of solutions, services, or products. If you're thinking of testing out a new idea, this is a great way to gauge potential interest. You'll likely know, as Laura did, when you've hit upon a good idea. Laura's approach is efficient and creative, and it won't cost you much more than your time and your creativity, so you might want to start thinking about where and when you can test out some of your pitch ideas. Or ideas as pitches. Remember, keep it simple, state clearly what it is you do and what problem or irrational passion it is that you are solving or serving. Good luck taking action today. Don't forget to check out Laura's website, thepitchgirl.com, for more ideas. I'd love to know how you get on with these ideas today, so drop me a line on Twitter at RobIsListening. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there.